Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Canucks Conversation, delivered to you by the great folks at DoorDash.
Ding dong.
Use promo code CONVODD, capital C, capital D's, all one word, CONVODD. That will get you 25% off and free delivery on your first order with the DoorDash app. Does not get much better than that, folks. My name's Dave Quadrelli. Dressed like my brother told me I looked like a bully from a 90s Disney movie. With my corduroy shirt on. I like the corduroy shirt.
It looked like a grade 4 bully.
Yeah, corduroy's making a comeback. Joined as always by the man who built the place, Chris Faber. Our technical producer is Alex Allard. It is the Canucks Conversation podcast.
You can see it on the YouTube here, by the way. Before you get into it, you can see it on the back video here. Look at that. I got prospect video, baby. Prospect videos.
Not looking forward to that, but what I am and should say also, our technical producer is Alex Allard, high above Rogers Arena. What I am looking forward to today is Ian McIntyre.
Yep.
Ian McIntyre of Sportsnet will join us. All of our guests sponsored by the great folks at Zephyr Epic. You can use promo code Hockey Season, capital H, capital S, all one word, Hockey Season. That will get you $5 off your order at zephyrepic.com. Z-E-P-H.
Keep me on the back cam here.
Let
me show people what I did.
Epic on all platforms. Check them out: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, what have you. They've got you covered. My friend here, Chris Faber, is putting together the original base set of the 1999, is it, Chris? Pokemon?
Yeah, 99 2000.
Yeah, 99 2000. He's got a binder. You were showing me this before. How many cards is there that you need to catch? Do you need to catch them all? How many are there? Is there 155?
Well, there's 151 original Pokemon. Not all of them were in the base set, so I got to mix in a few from the fossil set, a few from the jungle set. But I had a pretty good. I think I'm 37 off. 37 Pokemon away from having original or base set or fossil or jungle. The 99 2000 stuff, the old stuff there.
I like it.
And the problem is the ones I'm missing are all the expensive ones. So like I'm gonna have to save Charizard for the end. Obviously, he's like $400 to buy on eBay or whatever. Hopefully, my fiance's not watching this.
I'm gonna get you to do something because Brian Urquhart jumped in the chat and said, "Turn off one mic, please." Are we sure the mic on camera 3 isn't on?
Well, I think we're good.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Everybody else, we're good with the audio there because Brian wasn't happy about it.
I don't know. Maybe I don't think the audio's on.
Okay, well,
I'll double check.
You double check. I've got stuff to say. Also, I didn't finish my ad read for Zephyr. So as I said, all of our guests brought to you by the great folks at Zephyr Epic. Again, make sure you use promo code Hockey Season, capital H, capital S, all one word. Faber's dismantling the camera. Alex, let's switch cameras here. Was the mic on? Was it on, Chris?
No, we're good.
Oh, okay. Well, Brian lied to us then.
Well, somebody said it.
Okay. Anyways, let's get to it. Vancouver Canucks, last night, another ugly loss. Where do you want to start? You were on Halford and Bruff this morning. You did a fantastic job.
7 a.m., wide awake. I had a coffee, though. I had a coffee this morning bright and early. That's the problem I got with the morning show. Doing the morning show, it's
you brought the energy. You brought the energy.
I don't know how. Actually, no, I've been buzzing kind of ever since. I've been feeling...
And we're going to bring the energy today. Yesterday, we both talked about
bad show yesterday. Bad show.
We were both very tired, I think. Yeah. And just, I saw someone giving you crap on Twitter about it because you were like, oh, it's not fun to cover this team right now. And people are like, oh, whatever. It's like, it isn't. It isn't a lot of fun. And again, I'm always the first to say I don't want to complain about what we do because there's a lot worse jobs out there than what we're getting to do for
I worked at a mill for 6 years.
That's right.
Let us know in the chat if the audio's still off here. I don't want to yell at Alex. I don't have to.
Sam Wilson said he's happy.
Good enough for me then.
And Bryce said he's as happy as any Canucks fan can be.
There we go.
So I think we're good. I think we're just peachy. I'm waiting for my Lego order. I told you about that yesterday. It didn't arrive, so I'm waiting for it today. It's going to arrive today. I got the.
How big are we talking here?
It's big. It's a big one. It's a big Lego order.
All right, back to the game. You got a goal from Niels Höglander. You got a goal from Luke Shen. That's the stuff that you like to see. But Thatcher Demko, once again, not looking great. Lets in 5 goals, 29 shots against. I don't know, man. Something with Thatcher Demko is off, right? We talked to Kevin Woodley a few weeks ago here on the show. Won't have him on for a few more. We might have to, actually, chat a little bit more goalies. But I don't know. Something's off with Thatcher Demko. Something's not off with the audio. Brian's trolling us. Reset your thing over
when
there.
He said shut off one mic, I'm pretty sure he just means yours. He doesn't want to hear prospect coverage.
Okay. We're getting to the prospect stuff in a little bit here. But I don't know. You're the goalie guy.
Yeah.
What's going on with Demko? What's going on? Because Spencer Martin carries the Canucks through a win, right? I don't know. I've seen some people saying today, like, oh, Spencer Martin was pretty good on Tuesday. He was excellent on Tuesday.
Yeah.
He kept this team in it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, geez, Louise.
He was pretty good in that Anaheim game where the game after were like, oh, Spencer Martin should be in because he did so well against Anaheim. No, he played poorly against Anaheim. So does that serve as some sort of caution for you to say, okay, maybe let's not jump the gun on making Spencer Martin our starter? And obviously there's no goalie controversy in this market just yet.
Taking steps towards it, though.
Okay, sure. But with Spencer Martin, like, I understand people are seeing it. And again, there was that game where he did play well and he did steal them that game. Let's be honest here. He did steal it. But again, I don't know if it's at the point now where people should be looking at it and saying, well, Spencer Martin gives the Canucks a better chance to win. I know the results say that, and it's getting near that point. I think all you can do right now is give Thatcher Demko as much time off as possible in between starts where he's still comfortable. Like, you don't want to make this a thing where Demko's, and we're not even close to this, so I hate even saying this and putting it out there, but you don't want to get to a point where where you're saying, okay, well, Demko's going to play all the back-to-backs, the second leg of back-to-backs, and Demko's this team's backup. We're not there, and we shouldn't get there. Like, they've got a good goalie coach in Ian Clark, right? And he works really well with Thatcher Demko. Whatever Demko's going through right now, he's going to get through it. Like, he's going to work through it. And again, I know it was totally different circumstances, but Demko has had slow starts before, right? There was that season when Braden Holtby was kind of his 1B guy, and neither of them could really get going, right? So I think we're going to see Demko turn it around, and I think that's coming soon. I thought we've seen flashes of it, like we saw him play well in that Carolina loss where, yeah, he doesn't get the win, but he played well, right? You're going to see it. It's going to happen. There's no sense in starting to give up on Thatcher Demko or anything like that. Do I think Spencer Martin should be given the start on Saturday night? Yeah, probably. Like, I think we're at that point. I think we're at the point where maybe you're not splitting starts, but, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And what ain't broke right now for the Canucks is starting Spencer Martin for the first of the back-to-backs.
No, I don't like it.
You want to start him in Boston on Sunday?
Yeah. I think you go Demko Saturday. Big Saturday night game against the Leafs.
You don't want Demko in front of his hometown crowd? Well, not actually his hometown, but he spent a lot of time in Boston.
Complete opposite side of the country.
Well, he spent a lot of time with Boston College.
Well, I think you got to go with Demko on big Saturday night game. And then also, to me, like, that for one reason is why. But the other reason would be, like, if he's bad again and Martin's really good on Sunday again, then you have a goalie controversy. I think you can. No, seriously. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying Martin needs to be the starter as of Monday if he plays good. But you definitely have some sort of controversy over there at that point. If you have a bad game again from Demko, really good game against, a really good team in Boston. That's a good team over there, the Boston Bruins. They're playing good hockey, even though a lot of people expected the injuries were going to really hurt them this year. They're playing good hockey out there in Boston. It's going to be, this weekend is no joke, man. This is going to be a really tough weekend, and the Canucks aren't rolling into it with the best vibes right now, even though they're going to be going out tonight. They're going out tonight. I think rookie party tonight. This is the way it sounded, like the way Luke Shen talked about. He set up a dinner night. We got a Luke Shen clip to get to in a minute here, too.
Yeah, okay. Commander Vander jumped in the chat, said the goalie controversy talk is entirely reductive. Demko will obviously rebound, even if it takes a season, and wanting to save this season, quote unquote,
look at CV
is a fool's errand. And he's absolutely right, because you have to remember, and again, I'm going to bring this up when we talk about Jack Rathbone, can we get to Jack Rathbone right now? Do we have time? Do I have time to talk about this?
No, Rathbone after.
Okay, Rathbone after Big Mac.
We got to get to after Big Mac. We got to get to I want to get to the Shen clip because we're talking about the stuff with the goaltenders.
Sure.
It's also big time on what we're seeing from the defense in front of it, right? I mean, the Canucks can score goals. Like, I was looking at this the other day, looking at the Canucks stats. If you would have told me, like, you just didn't show me the results and you showed me, like, the stats that these Canucks top players are having, I'd be like, wow. Really good start to the year for the Canucks. Wow, Pettersson's well over a point per game because Benko's working out. Hell yeah. But it's more about the defense, and let's get to it here. This is Leafs Morning Take with Nick and Jay, our boys over there on the Nation Network. Go ahead. Run it there, Alex. Play us the clip of Luke Shen today.
It's been a pretty up and down start to the season. We do got a lot better team than kind of what we're playing. We just got to find some consistency, and obviously, the PK hasn't been good enough. That's kind of let us down in some games, and we've obviously, no secret, blown some leads as well. And We just gotta, for the most part, last night, I mean, besides last night, we don't have issue typically scoring goals. It's keeping the puck out of our net. And as you guys know, you can't go into a game trying to outscore teams. You got to try to out defend teams, and that's what the best teams do. And that's how you win championships is by playing solid D. So we got to continue to work on our tightening things up off the rush, the PK, and things in the D zone. So keeping the puck out of the net is probably the biggest thing. And like I said, we got a lot of good pieces on our team. We just need to continue to chip away at this.
And then his mic went into Woodley mode, and you sound like a robot for a couple minutes there. I was texting Alex, figured it out. But no, they got Luke Shen connected after. Well, probably me saying that, we're probably going to get that from Ian here in a couple minutes when he joins us. But that's it to me. And this can be talking into your Rathbone talk actually a little bit. Look at me setting things up unintentionally as well, rolling right into it. But yeah, there was some mistakes from Jack Rathbone last night, some major mistakes yesterday, which we've talked about on the show. He doesn't make a ton of major mistakes. Yesterday, like that one that bounced, I thought it bounced over his stick. He just misplayed it. That puck didn't bounce. That puck he just didn't get it locked in on his stick when he was defending on the left side. Ends up being a 2-on-1, I believe, the other way, and then just the shot scores. So yeah, Rathbone didn't look great. I forgot to get the graphic. I was gonna take the free Rathbone off of him and just put him in the jail cell, because that's where I think
this is the
well,
problem.
I'll tell you the way, and that's the thing. You're right with Rathbone. If he does anything like that, has a game like that, he's going to be back in the press box now, right? And now it's Kyle Burrow's time. That's what I think it's going to be.
You know what? I don't disagree that it's going to be Kyle Burrow's time, but I'm still going to say it. I'm still going to say it, and people are going to give me crap about this. I know, but all of the mistakes that Jack Rathbone makes are based on decision making. It's not raw skill that Jack Rathbone's lacking. So you got to develop that somehow. You got to figure out what the best way to do that is. I'm going to be dead set that the way to do that isn't by leaving him in the press box. If you're going to send him down to the AHL, do that. I would even argue that last night's performance almost warranted it. I'm not there.
Wow.
I'm not there at all. I think Jack Rathbone should be in the NHL lineup still, because again, it almost goes back to what Commander Vander was talking about Thatcher Demko, where you're saying, okay, are you trying to win games, or are you looking to the future, right? Because we're getting to the point now where you do have to look to the future this season, whether that be a trade or something else. Another form of that, in my opinion, needs to come with, okay, you already know what you have in Riley Stillman, and it ain't much. Mm-hmm. There's no top 4 upside there. You already know what you have in Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and it ain't much, and he's not going to get better, right, before he gets worse. You know what you have in Kyle Burrows. He's not going to get better before he gets worse. Kyle Burrows seems like the perfect guy for this team to be trading. And hey, Ottawa was looking very closely at the Canucks. They've kind of followed them around on this road trip, it feels like. So keep an eye on that. But
how about Ottawa tonight? I got later on in the bet. They're on a 6-game losing streak. They're playing the Devils on a 7-game winning streak.
Yeah.
Is that a streak breaker? We'll get to that later on the
okay.
Betway. That's a tease right there.
Yeah. Okay. So basically what I meant about Rathbone, what I want to say is just that guys got to play games. I think it should be at the NHL level. The one thing they can't do is just leave him in the press box.
For sure.
He needs to play games.
Yeah, a couple comments like that into the chat right now.
He hasn't played a lot over the past few years, and I know that's been pandemic related and everything like that, but you need to play games. You need to get your, decision making, and that's partly why I think he needs to be in the NHL. Is his decision making at the AHL level was fine, but now it's at the NHL level and things are faster. He's playing. It must feel like he has a bit of a target on his back, right? While he's playing, and he knows that if he makes mistakes, he's out of the lineup, and that can get into a player's head. So I'm still I know people were tweeting me last night. They're like, "Oh, well, there goes Rathbone." No, give him a chance. You got nothing else to lose.
Kai's got a good point. This is why you can't have a lame duck coach when you should be tanking for a high pick. Bruce will be clawing for every point, which is very true. And players like Hoglander, Podkolzin, and Jack Rathbone will barely see the ice.
Excellent point.
A little misspell there by Kai.
Well, it's still a really good point.
No, it's true. And I mean, that's a tough spot to be in for these young guys. We'll bring up Tanner Pearson today goes on to IR. So that kind of opens up more of a door for Vasily Podkolzin and Niels Hoglander again in the lineup. I thought Hoglander played a pretty good game yesterday in the role that he was in. We don't know what Bruce's thoughts are about Hoglander being a guy who's typically on the 4th line and consistently going to be in that spot. But I thought last night he fit in fine. Obviously gets the goal. That helps. I think he was moved up in the lineup at that point though. But he was one of the players I thought was, actually pretty good in the game. Him and Brock Besser. I thought Brock Besser had a better game and was actually getting shots on net. Not only Like, he's not really getting time on PP1 right now, obviously with Kuzmenko there, but at 5-on-5, I think it was like 4 scoring chances for Brock Besser. Had some actual shots on net, so good for him for that situation.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a not impressive game. Like,
No.
it was fine.
And by the way, with the Pearson going to IR, Sheldon Dry is back up with the team, which is funny because the Abbotsford Canucks just released a video yesterday of like Colton, like their head coach Jeremy Colton. He's like, listen, Dries, he hasn't been around here very much, but he comes and he makes an immediate impact. We're excited to get him in on the power play on Thursday, and now he's gone, so he's back up, and that gives a little bit of option to Boudreau here, because another thing I wanted to bring up was Miller playing center, right? I thought that was one of Miller's worst games of the year again yesterday.
Who would have thought?
Which is like, we said it so often, and it's like, you're right. Who would have thought? Well, as soon as you see the lineup and he's in the middle, that's where a lot of these bad games are coming from. And that giveaway yesterday was just horrendous. That's the problem, man. How many times, that word I've used so much when it comes to the Canucks getting scored on, it normally comes from like a horrendous play. That's what's been really unfortunate, I think, watching a lot of these goals that they're giving up. And Luke Shen talked about a little bit there. They need to work on their defensive game. We've heard it from Myers. We heard it from like a lot of the regulars that we hear in post-game media availability. Is just like, we feel like we play a good 50 minutes, and then 10 minutes in we have 10 minutes where there's just a bunch of like huge giveaways. And it's like, yeah, that is what's hurting this team. These massive, colossal or giveaways that they have.
Yep. And that one with JT Miller against Kirby Doc. That's
goodness, man.
Look, if Jack Rathbone makes that play, he's down to the East Coast League.
Yeah, good luck. You're skipping Abbotsford.
Actually, the ECHL, fun fact, doesn't stand for anything. Did I tell you that?
No, I know.
Did you know that? Did I tell you how I found that out?
No, you didn't tell the story how you found out. I don't know how you found out.
We wrote an article.
Yeah.
I think it was at Oilers Nation as editor-in-chief of the Nation Network. I'm the complaint hotline.
Yeah, you are.
And like, I think it was like the president of the ECHL.
Also, people complaining about this show, send it to @David_Quadrelli on
whatever.
at Gmail or whatever it is.
At Gmail. I can't remember if it was like the president or vice president. It was someone high up in the ECHL. He's like, hey, just so you know, he wasn't like mean or anything.
Shut it down.
But he was like, we changed from the East Coast Hockey League to just the ECHL in whatever year. Like, it's been a while too.
It doesn't stand for anything.
Yeah, and then I had to tell everybody on the meeting that we had, and that someone in our company was like, "Can you please email back and say that they can't just have an acronym that doesn't stand for anything?"
You know what? I'd love. Hopefully, maybe someone in the chat can look this up for us and put it in the chat. There must be a word out there. There must be a word for an acronym that doesn't stand for anything.
Really?
Right. I think that there should, if not, we can make up the word. We can call it Fabergasted or whatever it's called. People using it in the damn chat here.
I like that people are using the word Fabergasted.
Well, people are using it on Twitter now all the time. It's getting to me here. You're working on trying to get iMac figured out on the online here, right?
So live show, folks. We have texted Ian McIntyre. I have, and nothing. And
he's having problems.
He is not in the waiting room, so we will see where he is.
We'll see. Alex will get in my ear here.
Yeah,
at some point here. But
well, I mean, we're hopeful for it. But what else do you have? Like, I know we were going to talk to Ian right now, but before we get to him, if we get to him, like, what was your takeaway from that game? Because I think what you're taking away from this road trip so far, and Saturday's a winnable game for this team. No show tomorrow, folks. No show on Remembrance Day.
Weekend off.
Yeah, weekend off. We'll be back on Monday. But that game on Saturday, right? Like, you're looking at it as that's a winnable game for the Canucks. I know it's the Leafs, but like the Leafs have all sorts of problems right now, right? Like, I understand the Leafs are still a better team than the Canucks, but like the Canucks, first of all, always seem to beat the Leafs, even when the Leafs are the better team. They're, goes back to the COVID year when they came out of that mess in April and Braden Holtby slams the door shut, right? I'm curious to see how the team kind of responds, because like it was thrown out there yesterday by a few people that, look, by all accounts, the players like playing for Bruce Boudreau. They're not playing like it right now. Like, they're not playing like they've heard Rutherford's comments. I know Bo Horvat said, "Oh, I haven't heard what was said." I don't think that's true through the whole locker room. Like, I'm pretty sure they know what's being said about them and what's being said about their coach. And like, if they play for, and again, like, let's not forget, a couple weeks ago there was that report that that Rutherford went down to the dressing room or whatever and was basically like, "Hey, there's going to be changes beyond just the coaching staff, just so you know."
Yeah.
And again, like, what does that say about the team? That they're kind of like, okay, well, whatever, mail it in. It's just, that's kind of what it feels like with this team right now, is that there's not much pushback, not much heart, if you understand what I'm saying. Like it's just like they're there to get a paycheck. And I hate saying that, but it's kind of what it looks like right now when you watch Canucks games.
Yeah, things aren't great. That's for damn sure.
So Ian texted back. He said, "Yep, good for 4:30."
4:30.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll get him then. Maybe we'll do the prospects report before that. Then, right before we.
Did you miss?
No,
text him?
No, I told him. I told him one because he messaged me at 12. It was 12, like 10 here, and he said, "Okay, ready to go on here." I said, "Yep, we'll talk to you in an hour."
That's funny.
And you tell him to get on there.
You keep talking.
I know. It's just not great runs with the guests here on the show live in here. It used to be. You know who hasn't failed us?
Kevin Woodley.
Yeah, he has. He can't halfway. I knew you were going to say Woodley.
Whatever.
He's turned into a robot right off the top here of the show.
Whatever.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to talk about the defense pairings a little bit before we get to, if we get to Ian, we'll see. I actually thought that it was a little bit better for both Bear and Rathbone when they were taken apart a little bit on there late in the game. We saw a couple shifts around with the defense where OEL was playing with Bear. I think that pairing, listen, maybe it's going to be your third pairing. Maybe it's your second pairing. Maybe it's just a bottom four pairing that you rotate with the other one. I think Bear looks a little bit better with OEL. What are you talking about?
Nothing. You're right. Sorry, I'm not laughing.
I don't know if Rathbone and Myers is going to work. That's why I think they're going to be back to Burrows and Myers, and I think that pairing is going to be playing maybe more than OEL Bear.
As much as I just said, like, yeah, I'd like to see Rathbone play. You have to put.
He ain't going to be playing for much longer.
You have to put Kyle Burrows in the lineup, right? Yeah. Also, someone in the chat pointed out that Ian clearly meant 4:30 Eastern time. And he texted back and said, "You're right. I'll be on in 2 minutes." He just wrapped up a call. Goodness. I won't say.
I know who he's talking to.
Do you?
Yeah, we're gonna ask him about it.
Okay. So Ian McIntyre will join us shortly. Before that, let's get to the poll question. Okay. Should we get to this now? Alex, fire it up.
No, pull it up, Alex.
Our poll question today brought to you by the great folks at Atlas Goods. Go to atlasgds.com. Use promo code CC15. Use promo code CC15.
Yep.
Excuse me. That will get you 15% off your first order of pop rinds. These are the best fresh pork rinds straight from your microwave or air fryer. Our pork question today. Hello. Our poll question. What will happen first? A big trade, a firing. The Canucks turn it around. And as always, I'm angry.
Look at those pork rinds in the back there. They are fluffy.
So far,
look, they're fluffy on the back there.
So far, 50% of the vote says a big trade is what they think will come first. And we'll pose this. I'm glad we got to this first because we'll pose this question to IMAC when he joins us. And also, I kind of put Alex on the spot there.
Yeah, what's Alex going to say?
Well, Alex is probably trying to set up a guest and flip the poll question slides.
Alex is putting in his air fryer. He's got it fired up.
Switching up the
350, just like the instructions.
I feel bad. Unlike you, I feel bad when I switch up the entire show plan on Alex. Even though I don't actually follow a show plan.
No, I saw what Alex just flipped, and that's my fault because I put him into a bad spot. He just fixed. I don't think anyone else noticed. Maybe they will in the chat. Alex, where are you going with this poll? Where are you going? I don't think Alex is angry today. I'm curious to hear what he said. He might be angry because he always throws me off. The days I think like Alex is having a good day and he's happy, those are the days he's angry. But when I think he's angry, he's talking about Spencer Martin playing 80 games.
And Alex says a firing will happen first. Honestly, let's go through each while we wait for Ian and just say what it looks like. Sure. Because a big trade, Bo Horvat, JT Miller, those names come to mind, obviously.
Yep.
A firing, who do you fire?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying this is what I'd do, but we just heard the president on Monday not say very good things about the coaching staff. So I think the firing would be, and probably kind of entailed to this poll question, it's Bruce Boudreau. As much as we don't think it's Bruce's fault, the way this team is looking on the ice that much, there's, he's probably made some mistakes, right? And maybe there are some things that you need to clean up when it comes to the actual structure. The president wasn't just saying that just for saying it. Like, there probably were some things, I think, with the structure. Like
Harmon said, though, you saw what it looks like when this team plays with structure, right?
Yeah,
Under
and
Travis
you know what?
Green.
Saying that, how could I question Bruce Boudreau, right? Seriously.
Yeah, he's a good coach.
Seriously, he is. He's a great coach. Look what he does to teams that want to get to the playoffs. He gets them there, right? And then, I can't question Bruce's coaching. I just can't. I can. It's not like I've been a general manager either, but I can see what good general managers do better than I can see what a good coach does to change a team. I can see that. So,
and I mean, you saw what a good coach can do for a team
Mhm.
last year,
Yeah.
right? And again, like I understand they were getting,
But more than 50% say a big trade. And I think
Yeah.
that is what will happen first. It's not like what we think
I
is
don't
going
think
to happen.
I don't think fans want a Boudreaux firing. Like I don't think fans
Not at all.
want to see that. I think fans want to see a big trade, and I think that's where
Because that's a different look at the future if you do it that way. It
Yeah.
feels like a firing a coach is just somewhat of everything we've seen the last few
Yeah,
years, right?
same old
We
song
just
and
saw
dance.
that.
Yeah.
I think that the fan base is just fed up and actually wants some legitimate change. I think that's why 50% of people on our poll here are going with the big trade.
And we'll see where our guest lands today. Bringing in Iain McIntyre of Sportsnet. Iain, thanks for joining us. How are you today?
Fantastic. It's nice to finally make my Canucks Conversation debut with you guys. I was starting to think you didn't like me.
No, I mean,
all these years I've waited for this moment. So it is nice to be on. You know, I got to say, and you'll find this hard to believe, don't watch a lot of pods, but I do read a lot, and I read your guys' stuff on Canucks Army, and it's excellent. I think you guys have a really nice touch. You have some sharp, to the point observations, but you also have a touch of humor and some humility. And I've even seen some humor when you used to trick people into letting you co-host a radio show. So you're on to a good thing. You're on to a good thing. I'll try not to screw it up.
Appreciate all the compliments. My writing's also on there too, by the way. So none of those things you said. But it's funny. Ian's been asking me, when am I getting on the show? When am I getting on the show? He's been telling me at the arena. So we finally got you on here. Man, couldn't have lined up much better. What can we talk about, Ian? There's so much going on with this Canucks team. We'll start with the poll question. Looking at like change, I don't think is something that you can keep pushing down the road at this point. And our fan base has been saying that. We see it in the chat every day here. A trade, a firing, or a turnaround. What do you think's most likely here?
I think all three. Can I cop out and not take one? I would say the first thing would be a trade. But you know, the way things are going, the attention between Jim Rutherford and Bruce Boudreau, I mean, if they're like a 5-1 loss away, if they have another game like the Buffalo game, it's hard to envision how Boudreau survives that and they bring it back. I think, you know, when I say everything, what is clear is that this cannot continue. Like, it was one thing when they had the 5-game road trip at the start and they were blowing leads. They were showing then that they had some real defensive deficiencies right off the bat. The penalty killing was an issue. The goaltending from Thatcher Demko was an issue. But that was all in the first 5-game road trip. And I remember Rutherford saying, well, it's not fair to evaluate a team based on a 5-game road trip. He also talked about how, you know, that wasn't his schedule. It's not his, he doesn't think it's ideal to try and start a season that way. But we're now 14 games in. And the game in Montreal, the reason I think it sparks such a visceral, emotional reaction from people is because everyone's fed up that they're losing games the same way. You know, they seemed for a few games to be making some progress. Maybe they were a little tighter defensively. They weren't blowing leads as easily, but they also weren't getting leads as easily. But it just seemed like it was a lot of what we saw last night in Montreal in that 5-2 loss are things we saw in October when the team was losing its first 7 games. So whatever happens, something has to, because, or maybe the team just starts winning, but they can't, it's 14 games now. They can't do another 14 games of this.
Ian, when you watch Thatcher Demko play, what are you seeing? Like, what's wrong with Thatcher Demko right now?
He's letting the puck in. His biggest problem. You're gonna have to get Kevin. Yeah, you're gonna have to get Kevin Woodley or someone to explain the finer details of the position. But he just looks like a guy, like so many of them who are struggling, who's just not confident. And really, from the start of the year, we've seen pucks going in off him. We've seen going pucks through him, which is unusual. And I think because of how poor the team was defensively at the start of the year, Remember all the 2-on-1s they were giving up early on. They're not giving up as many as those rushes, but they're still giving up too many rushes, and they're certainly giving away the puck too often. But I think people were inclined, as with the team, to give Thatcher the benefit of the doubt. He's coming off a phenomenal season. He revealed that he had some kind of surgery, which he says goaltenders have, and that it wasn't, a huge recuperation period. The way he explained it, it's fairly routine for people who do what he does. But he was coming off surgery. I think people were inclined, okay, well, give him time, and we'll soon see the Thatcher Demko we've seen really since he replaced Jacob Markstrom as a starter. Really since he had, Bubble Demko in Edmonton over 2 years ago now. But it's just not happening. And although we're seeing some progress for the team, but clearly not enough, but there's some things that they're slowly cleaning up. Like the penalty killing is slowly getting better. It's still giving up a goal a game, and depressingly quickly sometimes, as it was last night in Montreal. But some things are getting a little bit better incrementally. But Thatcher Demko doesn't seem to be getting incrementally better. He just seems to be struggling to make a save, when the team really needs it. The game that they won in Seattle where the team was awful, Demko made some big saves in the third period of that game. So even though he ended up allowing 4, he made some stops. He didn't do that in Montreal, and he hasn't done that in enough games. And really, if you look back at all the games he's played now, how often has he been the second best goalie? Not in all of them, but almost all of them. And that's something that we just didn't see last year.
Ian, you mentioned that you think all 3, a trade, a firing, and the other thing are going to happen at some point here.
You won't even say it?
I think they could. I think they could, yeah.
I want to say focus on the trade. Who do you think can get traded on this team? Like, what team is taking on JT Miller or anybody like that? Like, what are you looking at in terms of a big trade? Like, who do you think it could be that gets traded?
Well, if it's a big trade, I mean, their leading goal scorer doesn't have a contract beyond this season. And, there's been no progress, no discernible progress to this point from the summer until now in his contract discussion. We're talking about Bo Horvat, of course. So if you put Bo Horvat on the market, you're going to have 31 teams making a call. I don't think they're there yet with him. But, I think probably with retained salary, there'd be teams interested in Tyler Myers. Certainly in some of their sort of younger prospect type guys, Podkolzin and Höglander, there'd be interest, but I don't know how much you get back in return. I don't know that those are necessarily the guys you want to be trading if you're going to try to shake things up. There are deals to be made. I think your point, David, is that there's some guys who can't be traded, and that's true. Like, I don't think anybody's taken on Oliver Ekman-Larsson with another 4 years after this one at 7.2. And even if the Canucks retain salary, like last year, after last season, just for argument's sake, if the Canucks were willing to pick up another $2 million on Oliver Ekman-Larsson, well, he was, kind of a $4 to $5 million player last year. So I think there'd have been teams that would do that, but he hasn't played like a $4 or $5 million player this year. And you can't, if you're the Canucks, especially with a guy who's got 4 years left, you can't buy him out. You can't have a cap charge for the next 8 years. And you have to be careful about how much you're going to retain with that amount of term left on the contract. I think, JT Miller, I think there'd be teams interested, but right now, that's an awfully big nut, 7 times 8 million, 56 million. That's a lot for somebody to take on for a guy who's going to be 30. But I do think there's a lot of teams that like JT Miller, but let's remember as well, part of the reason the Canucks ended up with a $56 million contract with JT Miller is because they didn't get a bunch of blockbuster trade offers. They had interest from teams, certainly, But this idea, and a lot of it was reported in the media, that teams were beating down the door of Patrick Allvin's office to throw, trade offers at him. I don't think that was true. I think there was a lot of teams that were interested. But had there been a blockbuster offer for JT Miller in the summer, maybe his $56 million contract would be with someone else. So there are moves you can make, though. But, it's tough. It's tough mid-season. Unless you're just selling off assets that people want, it's tough to make these kind of trades in mid-season, which is why I think, although we'll see some movement this year, if the season continues to go the way it is, I think it's this off season where things really get blown up.
It feels like, and I think you said it earlier, like it feels like it takes like a 5-1 win to kind of break things down. To me, I'm wondering, do you think this team's made up their mind at this point yet, or is it going to take a hockey night in Canada against Toronto on Saturday and you lose 5-1? Does that change your thought process? Or if the Canucks come out and win, 6-2 on Saturday, like how many weekends in a row can we do this? When we say the big Saturday night game, are the Canucks going all in or are they selling? How many Saturdays can we go through the season?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And I think that's part of what the frustration is, because again, we saw a little bit of progress and then we see a giant step back. So if we see a giant step forward, then that lowers the temperature, at least until the next game. But we just saw temperature came down in Ottawa. 24 hours later, the temperature was pretty high again in Montreal. So clearly it takes more than one game. The Canucks I think they're 4-2-1 in their last 7. I'm pretty sure that's the case because they started 0-5-2. If they can do that again, even with the imperfections that they're showing, I think that gets them a little more time. But you can't let losses start to pile up, and you certainly can't get embarrassed. You can't get humiliated and then not have something happen.
Well, Ian, we appreciate your time here. I got to read you this one, who must be a family member of yours. Kevin Punter says, tell IMAC he looks beautiful and that he is a legend in my books.
Well, I work a lot. This doesn't just happen. This takes some work. But thank you for the kind words. I'm glad I'm a legend in somebody's books. So
I've added moisturizer to the routine. I think it's helping with the YouTube for over here too. Ian, appreciate it, man.
For moisturizer.
I don't know. Tell that to Quad.
You have youth on your side.
Yeah, but he's literally to my left. Ian, appreciate it. We'll let you enjoy Toronto. A couple days off, I'm sure, are going to be nice for someone like you following this team every step of the way. So enjoy Toronto, man.
I will. It won't be days off. I'm kind of excited about the Sedins going into the Hall of Fame and what that represents for the franchise. But there is a game before then. We'll see how that goes on Saturday night.
You betcha. We're looking forward to it. Thanks, Ian.
See you guys.
He is, Ian McIntyre of Sportsnet, joining us here on the show. He'll be back. He was requesting it down at Rogers.
We gotta get him back on. He's a great guest. And you were talking about it.
Kevin is fired up that I read his message in there.
You were talking about it, how at Sportsnet, especially, when, as Ian put it, when we tricked them into giving us a radio show, we would book Ian on days where we were like, I don't want to come up with more than 5 questions. And we just, give him some runway. Ian can talk forever.
Yeah.
Even about Demko.
The old way to kill an hour really fast working Sportsnet radio. Bringing on Zickel to talk about the Canadiens for half an hour, and Ian to go off for 30 minutes asking him 3 questions. He's awesome to deal with. Yeah. And you know what? Another funny behind the scenes story at Sportsnet when I used to work there. For people that don't know, I worked at the radio station. Producer, you'd sometimes get in the conversation, like you call the guests and you get them ready for the show. Ian sometimes would, talk your ear off about non-hockey stuff, right? Like 10, 15 minutes, and the hosts are like, is Ian ready? Is Ian ready? I'm like, he's ready, but he's telling me this story about, Berlin and traveling or whatever. So we'll get Ian back on the show for sure. That was a good little hit there.
Ian's a genuine guy. It shines through when he talks. So yeah, thank you to Ian McIntyre for joining us. Okay. Do you want to get to the Betway wrap up, or do you have any thoughts before the weekend? Okay, prospects.
No, but we'll get to that in a minute here. I think going into the weekend, it's like I asked Ian there with that last question, like how many more big Saturday night games on Hockey Night in Canada can we talk about, right?
And that's the thing is Ian talked about turning down the temperature. And, he hinted at, maybe
Sure.
they can turn it around. And I think we've made our opinions on that clear.
Mhm.
Like, we've made it very clear that we don't necessarily agree with that. But
The burner's on, man. You can turn it down if you want, but the burner's on.
I actually agree with Ian to some extent that the temperature will get turned down to the point where you get maybe not just like, I think right now you're getting a lot of casual fans really upset with the team and really upset with the direction of the team. But again, you don't have to agree with this.
But even more the hardcores. Like Commander Vander is a good example. If that's answering Ian's question, if that's the case, I hope they keep losing.
And you know what? That's
a tough spot to get hardcore fans to say that we want this team to keep losing. If that's what it's going to be to get this group to change, but that's where we're at.
And
we're
that's
seeing,
why,
live here in the chat, we're seeing this.
That's why I say
every day too.
I agree with Ian because he's right. Like, if they string together some wins and turn down the temperature, they're going to get away with this again. Like, they're going to get away with it again. They're going to go into the next season. And like he said, maybe off season is when you make trades or make big changes. I'm all for making big changes this year. Like, you've got to do your best to tank for Connor Bedard while you still can.
Could make bigger changes in the offseason, but you still need some big changes in season. I mean, Horvat's the best example of it, right? Are they I don't know. I can't see how they lock him up long term, and I don't think things are going in the right direction.
It's not going to work unless you trade JT Miller. Yep. It's just not.
That's going to be tough to do too. But I do think that's possible. I know a lot of people like
Trading
it's impossible. I still think you could pull it off.
He's like near a point per game right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that are like in the higher level of like, the mushy middle we've talked about for so long. Maybe a mushy middle team adding Miller gets them out of that.
I'll tell you what, though.
A high-end mushy team.
Highlights like last night's where you see Miller just carelessly throw the puck up the middle.
Oh, my goodness.
That's not going to do much for his trade value, is it?
As Canucks fans, we need to no more tweeting out bad clips to Miller. Let's just keep it between ourselves. Like, hey, let's worry about the defensive things on our own.
Don't let the
East Coast tweets.
Don't let the East Coast in on our secrets.
If you're gonna tweet them out at 9:30 Pacific time and after. That should be the free zone to tweet out the Miller gaffes in his own zone.
Yeah, right. And Kai Howard, just before you get to it, Kai Howard jumped in the chat, said, I'd much rather watch a young rebuilding team lose than a capped out middling team with no elite prospect.
Listen, Kai is
prospects.
Yeah, you have to think. Okay, Kai's not just a person who's paying attention to what the Canucks are doing. Kai's in here on a live Canuck show on YouTube. Okay.
Yep.
Not a lot of just the fair weather fans are in here. These are the fans that really care about this team. I'm not saying maybe someone stumbled into our YouTube channel and they're enjoying the show today, or you've listened to this podcast and you just, this is the day I'll give it a try. But a lot of these people I think who are listening to our show are here on YouTube. They're the hardcore fans, right? And I can't they are the ones who are at this point right now where it's crazy because it's I think Canucks fans are doing this, and this is the way I feel about it. It's I can't take the losing anymore, so I want them to lose even more, so we're not seeing them lose anymore.
At least they're accepting that, hey, we're not trying our best to win right now, and we're looking to the future. I think that's all fans want. And as Kai said, look how fun teams like Buffalo and Montreal are.
Oh,
Montreal's already past the Canucks.
I think Tage Thompson's my favorite player in the league. Watching him live on the ice, I loved watching it. Yeah. All right, blow me up, Alex. Here we go. We got some good stuff. Oh, thank goodness. You want some good Canucks news? Jonathan Lekaramäki, baby. Both of the Canucks Swedish prospects scored today. Lekaramäki wires a one-timer into the top of the net, pops the bottle, all that good stuff. This one was on the power play. He really needed this one, right? He really needed just a little bit of a confidence boost in this tournament. I thought he was horrible just the other day, but he came out and had a much better game today, scoring this goal on the power play. And just a little more effective. I wouldn't say he was really, really good at 5-on-5, but you noticed him. You noticed him at 5-on-5. And then the big one was the slap shot, slow motion here. Boom, right into the top. Look at that bottle pop if you're here on YouTube. So that was a nice play by Jonathan Lekaramäki today. He looked a lot better. But I think we obviously talk about Elias Pettersson, DPD quite a bit on this show. But I'll be honest, I've been more impressed with this guy than I have with Lekaramäki up to this point in the season, watching these prospects play over in Europe. Here's Elias Pettersson, the defenseman, off the draw, ends up firing a wrist shot into the back of the net. He's playing in this tournament as well. The Five Nations tournament, by the way, it's going on. They got 2 more games in this tournament. This was against Czechia's U20 team. Pettersson scored in this one. He was killing penalties. Just liked his play. And honestly, I've been more impressed with him being a 3rd-round pick than I have with Lekaramäki up to this point in the season. Lekaramäki does a lot of things really good, but Pettersson, I think, is a player who's really raised his own value from the draft getting to this point, creating a lot of offense. His shot's been pretty impressive. Just good form there, right? Good form on this shot here. He scores a goal. You like to see it. And I think physically, that's where he still stays with his strengths. He's good skater, very physical. He's my favorite Canucks defenseman right now in the prospect system, and I don't think it's really close. Like I can't think of another, like Phil Johansson. We love him on the show. Obviously, he's on here every week, but EP2, as we see him wearing number 2 today. DP, that's our guy. That's my prospect support. Not a lot. I'll have a big one on Monday.
More. Louis Eriksson is joining Philip Johansson in Frölunda. Yeah. I'm done. Okay, that's my prospect.
Louis there. All right, Betway, get it up. I got a good bet today. Couple of them. Pull it up, Alex. Where is it? Pull it up, Alex. We got it. Ottawa Senators and who are they playing? The New Jersey Devils. That's what I talked about earlier in the show. The Senators, they're on a 6-game losing streak. The Devils, baby, they're on a 7-game win streak. So I'm betting this one. But you know who else I liked in the other game there? The Canucks, when they played the Sens. Drake Batherson. I liked the way he played. He had a lot of scoring chances, and I know the Sens were really good in that first 40 minutes. Like Batherson, he was okay. Yeah, right. I'm clip what your screw up earlier.
McTathin. Hey.
Okay. Anyways.
Okay. Continue.
Drake Batherson. He's got to score a goal. Over 6.5 on this one. Alex, I know you can attest to this. The Senators, they give up a lot of goals, so I think we're getting the over 6.5 in this one. The Devils are rolling. Alex, if you're there, I'll let you pipe in here. Any intention on watching the game tonight of the Devils, who are on 7-game win streak, and your Senators on a 6-game losing streak? Do we see the streaks get snapped, Alex? What do you think?
Yeah, they got them right where they want them. Like, listen to you. That's what they're saying in the dressing room right now. And the guys got them right where they want them.
Yeah, nothing says breaking the slump like having a team that's on a 7-game win streak.
If that's what they're saying, maybe DJ Smith should get fired. No, okay.
Could be on the hot seat. All right, second bet here.
Give it the G word. Give us the guarantee, Faber. Come on.
Yeah, okay. This bet here.
Jinx the Devils tonight and give them the G word.
I just think the odds even on betting the Devils tonight just on their own was just not even worth it at this point. It's like you bet $10 on the Devils winning,
get $1. You
come out of it, they took $1 from you. Yeah, they give you 9 back. They don't even give you any odds tonight. But yeah, so I'll say that. So there you go, Alex. Your Sens are going to win tonight. Second bet, Buffalo playing. Who is Buffalo playing? They're playing the Golden Knights. They're hosting the Golden Knights in this one. I got the Sabres to win and Tage Thompson. Listen, a little bit of a bet from my heart here. You know, I love Tage Thompson. He's my boy, big body, long-term contract, looking great. So Sabres to win, Tage Thompson score. Get that at plus 240. Betway. Betway is the reason we're off tomorrow. And Remembrance Day.
Okay. 19 plus play.
Yep.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
Bet responsibly.
Yeah. Let's close it out there. Good week.
Yeah, we're off tomorrow, by the way.
Off tomorrow. Back Monday. We'll have a lot to say, I'm sure.
I'm going coat shopping tomorrow.
We'll have back-to-back games to talk about on Monday.
Yeah.
All right. So for my co-host, Chris Faber,
Monday,
and our technical producer, Alex Lard, our thanks to Ian McIntyre for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dave Quadrelli. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Canucks Conversation.
Tage Thompson, MVP. I got another Hallinger.
Thanks for listening to Canucks Conversation, delivered by DoorDash. Hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode.
How about keep it to a thank you, Jim?